John Garang di Mabior. What was he a threat to? In this episode, we'll talk about John Garang and we'll know who was John Garang, what he represented, and what was he a threat to. On July 30th, 2005, a plane of John Garang crashed on his way back to Sudan and southern Sudan, just 21 days after being installed as the first vice president of Sudan. This came after the end of the longest civil war in Africa in 2005, when the Comprehensive Peace Agreement was signed between the Sudan People Liberation Movement Army and the Sudanese government. John Garang, in a very early age, went to Tanzania, where he studied there, and he learned about the African socialists and also about the Union of Africa, and he became Pan-Africanist. During that time, the first civil war was going on in Sudan, which started in 1955 and ended in 72. John Garang had a chance to come to southern Sudan, whereby he met some of the leaders of the Anyanya, especially Joseph Lago, who was the leader, and he had a discussion with him about the future of Sudan in general and about the culture, the economical and also political issues. John Garang didn't like the way that the issue of South was addressed, but however, he reluctantly agreed to join the Anyanya movement towards the end of the civil war. After the signing of the Addis Ababa Agreement, John Garang was also was enrolled as one of the officers and also in the rank of colonel. After that, he went to the United States of America. He did his PhD there and he came back. By the time he came back, also the implementation of the peace accord was not going on well. So John Garang decided also to form the Sudan People Liberation Movement and also with an army wing in 1983. This started in May and the SPLM was established in July. By then, he managed to get the support of Mengistu Haile Mariam, who was also the president of Ethiopia during that time. The support of Mengistu continued from 83 up to 1991. After he was overthrown, the SPLM had to look for a new haven, so they had to go to East Africa, whereby also the president of Uganda, who was a colleague of John Garang, Yoweri Museveni, was the president, and also in Kenya, whereby some of the SPLM went there to carry on their struggle. All was going well according to the plan, and John Garang had bring in new ideas, these ideas of the SPLM were seen by the southern and the northern Sudanese as a propaganda and not realistic. But for instance, Joseph Lago wrote a letter to John Garang challenging him that what he's saying about the unity of Sudan is not practical and it cannot happen. Because Joseph Lago, during the Anyanya War, he was calling for the cessation of South, as Sudan has to be divided into two because of so many reasons. Yet they failed to achieve that during the Addis Ababa Agreement, which lasted from 72 up to 83. By then, the SPLM was formed. This one. Also, the northern politicians and political parties did not believe from the very beginning what Garang was saying, because they know that all leaders that came from South, they were asking about the separation and all were talking about South Sudan, Southern Sudan only. But Garang had a different approach, of which he said that the issue is not the issue of South as it used to be said, it is the issue of the whole Sudan. The structure of Sudan was wrong from the very beginning, and the way that the power is being shared and all things that happen in Sudan were wrong. That's why he came out with the idea of the New Sudan. The idea of New Sudan is very simple, is that fighting discrimination, achieving equality between all Sudanese, economically, culturally, politically, and not discriminate people based on their gender or religion or ethnic and cultural background. Therefore, John Garang was talking about, and that also the Muslims, the Christian, the Arab, the African, they are all Sudanese, and we can all be one Sudan. This idea was very good, and also as a Pan-Africanist background, he had to carry on with the idea and was supported by all means and by all that he got. But John Garang, after signing the peace agreement in just a very short period, he also his plane crashed. But before that, what happened and what was Garang threatened? To go into that details, we will see that there are so many countries that supported the struggle of the Southern Sudanese people during the civil war. From the very beginning was Mengistu regime of Ethiopia. After he was overthrown, also the East African supported the SPLM, SPLA, and also some Western countries, including the European Union, the European countries, and also the United States of America. After the CPA was signed, all these countries were expecting to exploit the natural resources of Sudan, especially the oil, because southern Sudan was a rich country in terms of resources and especially the oil. So, but Garang had a different plan of which he wanted to unite the whole Sudan. And during his time, when he came first to Khartoum in 2005, he was received by millions of people, whereby many viewed him as the next president of the Sudan. This was a threat to the Islamic front that was leading Sudan. It was a threat also to some East African countries that wanted to gain some economical benefits from the South Sudan in case it separated. But if South Sudan or Sudan remain united, then it will be hard to get all these benefits. Also, if some of European countries and also the United States wanted to get their cut from the oil, and Garang, by the idea of having the whole Sudan and also maybe going further to unite in Africa was dangerous. Therefore, all these factors led to maybe to his demise. And unlike also other African leaders, Garang also shared the same fate with so many leaders that he also tried to unite the Africans. We have, for instance, the young revolutionary leader, Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, who in a very short time managed to change the West African nation by introducing many ways of fighting corruption and also changing the livelihood of the people. Unfortunately, he was killed. Also, the great Patrice Lumumba of Democratic Republic of Congo, who was a visionary leader and also a thinker, who wanted to change the Congolese life, and also who wanted to lift up the economy of Congo by using the natural resources that Congo have. We all know that Congo is one of the richest African countries in terms of resources. But because Patrice Lumumba was going to use these resources to build Congo, and thus the whole of Africa, he had also to be eliminated. And the coup was organized, and then also Patrice Lumumba was assassinated. Also, for instance, we have Muammar al-Gaddafi of Libya, who also was passionate about the Union of Africa, and who was also ready to finance the process of creating the United States of Africa. He shared the idea with those of Robert Mugabe and so many leaders who were passionate about the Union of Africans. And also Muammar al-Gaddafi, after he came to power, he managed to change the life of Libyan. The GDP of Libyan rised. Also the education system, the healthcare, all these were for free for Libyan. And Libya was almost the only African country who had no debt. In fact, some Europeans used to borrow money from Libya, and this one was not good. Therefore, the Western elites who had chance during the Arab Spring, whereby people came out in so many countries, including Libya, so they managed also to get rid of Muammar al-Gaddafi. And after his death up to now, Libya has not been stable. Also, Congo is not stable now. Here is how John Garang and also the other African leaders met the same fate, whereby other powers, either internally or also outside of the continent, see any good leader with bright ideas who is trying to unite the people, they try to eliminate him. After John Garang was eliminated in 2005 by the plane that crashed on his way back from Uganda, where he met his friend and colleague, the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, the fate of Sudan was decided and it changed. In 2011, after 6 years of the peace agreement, a referendum was held in southern Sudan, whereby 90 plus voted for the secession, and Sudan was divided into two. And yet, after Sudan was divided into two, in 2013, a civil war broke out in South Sudan, and from that time, the stability has been hard to be achieved. The same thing also happened to the Sudan. Sudan, instead of being one of the great and strong African countries, was divided into two, and yet these two Sudans are now very weak, and all of them have so many refugees and so many wars that have been going on.
الإسلامية في خرطوم بيقول بشكل SPLM لثلاث أسباب رئيسية. بيقول إنهم بدافع عن الدين، بدافع عن الإسلام، بيقول بدافع عن العروبة، بيقول بدافع عن وحدة السودان. ده ثلاثة حاجات اللي بيقولوا لكم وبيقولوا للعالم. لكن أنا عاوز نقول ونعكر لكم إنه ثلاثة حاجات ما في خطورة. شيلوا وحدة السودان. وحدة السودان ما في أي خطورة. من 83 احنا بشكل يعجل وحدة السودان. الاشتباكات العولية من 83 مش كان مع جيش السودان، ده كان مع في SPLM أو في أنيانيا 2 ناس قايتون وناس أقواراتهم كان بنادوا في انفصال وشاكلناه في 83. ده حقيقة. الأخوان هناك والحكومات بخرطوم عملوا نفوسهم ياو محافظين بتاع وحدة السودان. على العكس الصحيح، إنه الناس اللي بنادي لانفصال جنوب السودان يابوا تعاونوا مع حكومات في الخرطوم، مثل ناس قايتون وناس أقوالاتهم مشى ويتفقوا مع حكومات في الخرطوم. حاليا ناس رياض مشار وغيرهم البنادي لانفصال السودان وعندهم حركة اسمها حركة لانفصال جنوب السودان Southern Sudan Independence Movement حاليا في خرطوم. فالعكس صحيح، نحن بيؤمنوا وبيقاتلوا بناضلوا لتحقيق وحدة السودان. وحدة السودان الصحيح الفوق كل الناس، كل الجنسيات، كل القوميات، كل الثقافات. وده الواقع في السودان. السودان مكون من قبائل كثيرة، من ثقافات كثيرة، من أديان. فإذا واحد يقول السودان لازم يكون إسلامي، يكون مسلم ويكون عرب، نحن بقول لا، المسلمين جزء لا يتجزأ من مجتمع السودان. لكن مش كل الناس يعوا مسلمين، ده واقع. نحن برضو بقول ناس يقول السودان لازم يكون عرب، نحن بقول لا، العرب القوميات العرب في السودان جزء لا يتجزأ من السودان، لكن مش كل الناس عرب، برضو واقع. فنحن بقول يا جماعة كلي الطائفية ده عن الجنس كلي نسيبه ونبني دولة بتاعنا كلنا. إذا نقول السودان لازم يكون دولة عربية، ناس ما بيشوف كلام ده كغريب. لكن إذا أنا قلت أسا نسبة لناس فور في غرب السودان وناس فور قاموا بحركة ويقولوا السودان لازم يكون دولة فوراوية، الحاكمين في خرطوم بيقول زول ده مجنون شيلوا للمستشفى. فالتفرقة عن الجنس ده كلنا نسيبه ونبني دولة بتاعنا كسودانيين من كل القوميات. هذا مطلب منطقي. فكلام بتاع وحدة السودان الحقيقية بشمل كل زول، عشان ما في زول يفتكر انه هو سيبه برا. تمشي خرطوم، انت من الغرب، انت من الشرق، انت من الجنوب، انت من الوسط، انت من الشمال، مواطن سوداني جاء خرطوم وخلاص. بطال بتوع شنو نشاكل نفوسنا عشان الكلام ده؟ لا، ما منطقي. ربنا ذاته ما بوافق. يوم داك وقت ربنا خلق نحن كلنا، مش خلق عرب وخلق نوير وخلق شلوك وخلق فور وخلق حداندوة، خلق ناس ديل كله. ومنو حق منو يقول ربنا كان غلطان؟ نحن بيبني الحركة بتاعنا مبني على حقائق، نحن ما بكذب لأي زول. فنحن بيؤمن بوحدة السودان. وحدة السودان الفوق كل الناس ما بيجيب شكل ثاني.